Texas Tech destroyed BYU. This is a game that we called pretty much perfectly here. We said that Texas Tech would cover. We said they would dominate BYU, that they would blow them out, and they did. BYU never had a shot to win this game. Never. And that was even with a pretty, let's just say, pedestrian performance by the Texas Tech offense. Texas Tech scored 29 points, and this channel will make you a college football expert and help you enjoy watching games and make more accurate predictions. So what are you waiting for? Like, subscribe, ring the notification bell, comment your thoughts, and watch the video all the way through so that you can get the full package. And check the description and pinned comment for more ways to help yourself and this channel. 15 of those came off of field goals. Morton was 17 of 32, and he took 4 sacks and had negative 47 rushing yards. Outside of that, Texas Tech ran the ball pretty well. So you take out the sacks there. They ran it 38 times for 198 yards. They ran the ball well. When they weren't taking sacks, threw the football pretty well. They had 1 sack and 4 TFLs. They held BYU, even taking out the sack on Behr Bachmeier to under 3 yards per carry. And Behr Bachmeier averaged fewer than 5 yards per pass attempt. This defense, I do not think it's quite as good as Ohio State's or Indiana's. We'll see in the playoffs if it's even the third best, or maybe if it's better than those, or I don't know exactly where it falls, because the Big 12 does not have the caliber of athlete that especially the SEC does, but even that the Big 10 does. However, it is a phenomenal job by Shieldwood and his players, especially Jacob Rodriguez, Romello Height, David Bailey, Lee Hunter, by Cole Wislinski, by one of their cornerbacks transfer from Mississippi State. His name escapes me, Bryce Pollock. Just what a job by Shieldwood in that Red Raider defense. Texas Tech, as you all know, as you Red Raider fans know, is not a school known for defense, for fundamental soundness, for trench dominance. And that's what they showed us in this game. 368 yards to BYU's 255. If you take out sacks, they tripled up, or close to tripled up, BYU's rushing total. They were +3 in turnover margin, and the reason they were +3 in turnover margin were 2 forced fumbles, 1 in a sack, another just in general against Parker Kingston, one of BYU's top receivers, and another was an interception by Jacob Rodriguez. By the way, Jacob Rodriguez, Chris Drew, my friend from Dead Air Sports and Menace to Sports, brought this up to me. He has 7 forced fumbles, a sack, 3 interceptions, 5 passes defended, 2 fumble recoveries, and 88 total tackles. 6'1", 230 pounds. That guy's an All-American. An All-American player. And even better for Texas Tech, he's homegrown. He started out at UVA in 2021, but he's been at Tech for now 4 years. At this point, he hardly counts as a transfer. I know he transferred from Virginia, but most players that use the portal use it more than just twice. He's been at Tech for 4 years. Last year had 5 sacks and 3 forced fumbles and a pick, and he just keeps getting better and better and better each and every year. He's phenomenal, and this defense is phenomenal. I'm very impressed with what Texas Tech is putting on in terms of defensive performances, and I want to read you some numbers by Game on Paper to show you how insane this Texas Tech defense is. It's jarring what they've been able to do all season long. They're number 1 in ESPN's defensive efficiency. They held BYU to a 31% success rate, to 4 yards per play to negative 0.18 expected points added per play. They generated an 18% havoc rate and held BYU to a 3% explosive rate and 25% success rate on third down. That's insane. And what they did against Kansas State was crazy. What they did to Utah, crazy. What they did to Arizona State outside of, Jordan Tyson and Sam Leavitt, given their offense was playing that poorly, pretty crazy. No defense has overachieved my expectations more this year than the Texas Tech Red Raider defense has. For the BYU Cougars, so they're 8-1, 5-1. If they win out, which TCU at home, Cincinnati on the road, even UCF at home, none of those are guaranteed wins with how BYU plays. Utah, Arizona, Colorado, those were all close wins. They're 3-0 in close wins. And really, I would say the Iowa State was a close win too. Pick sixes and the swing they had in that fourth quarter is rare. They're really, if you really think about it, they're 4-0 in close games. That usually indicates you're going to suffer a close loss at some point, and they can lose in a close game to either TCU, UCF, or Cincinnati. They can lose any of those games. They could get dominated by Cincinnati. Not saying I would pick that, but they have a tough road ahead of them, and at the same time, it's a road filled with opportunity because they can win out, and if they win out, they'll get to rematch with Texas Tech in the Big 12 title, and maybe they'll be in the playoffs regardless of that game, but if they win the Big 12 championship game, they will certainly be in the playoffs. Looking at Texas Tech, they have a schedule where you play UCF at home, then you get a bye, and then you play at West Virginia. They should be 11-1. They will be they'll be 8-1 in Big 12 conference play. And at this point, unless they somehow wet the bed against West Virginia or UCF, I think they're almost a lock to go to the Big 12 championship game, and they have minus, I think it's like close to minus 200 odds to win the Big 12. Their odds to win that conference are so one-sided that unless they really choke on applesauce, it's a foregone conclusion they're winning this conference. That is how good of a team, how wonderful of a story that Texas Tech is. Looking at the Big 12 standings here, these are still the top two teams in the Big 12 conference. Pay attention to Utah. Pay attention to Utah, even pay attention to Arizona State. If there's chaos and, say, Cincinnati and BYU lose, and one of them will definitely lose. There's a chance, too, that both of them lose. You could see one of Utah or Arizona State sneak in. Maybe you could even see Houston sneak in, though I think that isn't as likely as seeing Utah or Arizona State get in. Pay attention to those teams. But if things continue as they have been, it should be a rematch between these two in the Big 12 championship game. I personally am not predicting that, but if BYU keeps finding ways to win, since no one on the schedule outside of Texas Tech is in the caliber or in the tier that Texas Tech is, and if Tech continues to maul teams the way they have been, there will be a rematch here. I do think that BYU-Cincinnati game is going to be very tough, though, so keep an eye peeled on the Big 12 Conference. It's going to be a very entertaining rest of November for not just the SEC, but especially the Big 12. It's more so the Big 10 and the ACC that have the weaker slates. Thank you for watching. It's my mission on College Football with Sam to make you the most informed, knowledgeable, and entertained fan as possible. We aren't perfect, but we hit the nail on the head more often than we hit our thumb with the hammer. Make sure to like, subscribe, ring the notification bell, comment, and if you're here, you've probably already watched the whole video. So thank you for doing those things.